I've already done mine. Just saying, so we can do a little bit of Nadi Shodhanam, which involves the nose, breathing. Very, very simple format that we're going to go through. So a quick way of it, if you like, sort of aligning our the winds, the inner winds with what we're going to do. So we're focusing on the upper body, principally, not exclusively, but principally the appendicular and the shoulders, and both through the three methods: mobilizing, stretching, and strengthening. So that's the physical part of the practice. We're going to start off on the floor doing a few things that you might not be so familiar with, might even seem a little bit strange. But before that, we'll just have a couple of minutes centering and grounding. Okay? So we're just going to sit in Sukhasana or Virasana, or any sitting posture you want to sit in. Doesn't really matter to start with. So we're going to start sitting, and then we're going to lie down, and then we're going to come back up and start the more dynamic part of the practice. So to begin with, just, as always, just recollecting what we're doing. So you're just bringing yourself into the practice space, letting go of the day, future and past, letting go of those, and just centering your awareness in the spine, along the spine, from the base to the base of the neck, growing the spine gently, feeling that either physically as a set of sensations or getting a sense of that energetically. Just the body in space, taking up this space. And then bringing it into the field of your attention, the breathing. So the field of awareness through the body. Now it's the whole body. And then bringing your attention to the breath. And I'm going to encourage you to breathe more fully, so more deeply, using the diaphragm for 10 cycles of breath. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this afterwards. But for now, we're just going to root the breath. I'd like to imagine the spine, the front of the spine, so bringing the breath up. And as I exhale, back down from the front of the spine, all the way from the throat back down to the pubic bone. Sometimes you can visualize a sort of thin channel and the breath coming down through that channel, filling the belly, emptying the belly. So 10 breaths. This really does help us to arrive into our practice or anything we're about to do. Centering and grounding through the breath. This type of breath in particular. Bringing the awareness as much as you can muster at the moment into the practice, the body. And then we're going to find out which nostril is clearer, usually based on the body's own strategy of timing. Usually you've got one a bit clearer than the other, depending on the time of day. So just find the one that's clearer. And you're going to block off just gently. It doesn't matter how you block it off, but I tend to say do it quite gently at the tip of the nose. So don't forcefully press your fingers into the side of your nose bone. Just gently block off this side that's less fluid. And 3 times you're going to inhale. And as you exhale, each time it's progressively a little bit more forceful. So you're exhaling smoothly the first time. And then with a little bit more energy the second time. And a little bit more energy still the third time. And swap over, breathing in through the other nostril. Hopefully it's not so blocked that you can't. Breathing out smoothly. With a little bit more energy the second time. Third time, a bit more energy still. Now 3 times breathing out through both nostrils in the same way. So first of all, smoothly. Then with a little bit more energy, breathing in, breathing out with more energy. So we're just doing both nostrils now. Yeah. And the third time, a bit more forcefully. Okay. Go through that again. Find the nostril that's least more open. Breathe in, breathe out. Second time with more energy, a bit more force. Third time, a bit more energy still. Then swap over. Same thing again, opposite nostril. Yeah, and then both nostrils breathing in and out 3 times. Smoothly, with a bit more force, and then the last one, a lot more energy. Okay, very good. Now, okay, we're gonna shift our posture onto the floor. So if you'd like to come into semi-supine position, I'm side on to the camera. All tonight, I'm going to be side on. If you can take your belt with you, take your belt with you, and we're going to lie down in the semi-supine position. Okay, and what I'd like you to do is lift up your pelvis. So rock under your tailbone, lift your tailbone up. Just lengthen down a bit towards the feet and then roll the spine down again. Do that a couple of times. So lift up the tailbone, draw the sit bones down towards the heels. So you're just gently lengthening out the lumbar spine, nothing major. And then lower down again. Now try, as we do this, to keep the whole spinal column grounded, rooted. So we're going to take the belt above us, extending the arms right up above the chest, having the hands as wide as your shoulders to start with. So preferably just taking a soft grip, not a fist, keeping the belt just at the root of the thumb and the index finger, okay? And you're going to draw that down towards the legs, and on an in-breath, you're going to sweep smoothly 1 breath above the head with the belt, keeping a bit of traction, so pulling the belt gently between the hands, just gently, all the way down towards the floor, keeping the spine grounded. So we definitely activate from the shoulders, okay? And inhale, come all the way back again, bringing the belt towards the thighs, just a little bit of traction, pulling the belt away between the hands, and back again on the next in-breath. Over the head, keep the spine rooted. Yeah, and all the way back to the legs. So just keep doing that for a while, exploring it with the breathing, now with diaphragmatic breathing. Smooth movement back, keeping the spine grounded. So if you don't make a conscious effort to do that, you'll naturally just arch the spine. Thus, you're not isolating the shoulders. So just keep the spine rooted firmly. And taking the hands now a little wider, so let's say a bit wider than our shoulders, and keep the same movement going. Inhaling, drawing back. As far back as you can. Coming forwards should be fairly easy. Keeping some traction between the hands, grounding the spine all the way back. Now, this time, taking the hands as wide as you can, still with the belt between the hands, and continue the same movement. So breathing and extending back. So you feel the obvious stretching under the armpits here. Okay. I'd like you to bring your hands again to the width of your shoulders. Keep the belt as before between the hands. Okay. And from here, we're going to press up. So tucking the tailbone under, lifting the pelvis on the in-breath, rooting the feet. Okay. And on the next in-breath, you're going to bring the belt onto the floor behind you, hands between the belt between the hands, all the way back. And you're going to hold the hands in that position above the head whilst you then lower the spine down slowly from the top to the bottom. And then when the pelvis is down on the floor, you then bring the belt all the way down towards the legs, keeping the traction all the way through. So maintain the tension, okay? And then next time, pressing the pelvis up again, coming into bridge pose, and then extending the arms back just as before, all the way back onto the floor. And then lowering the pelvis, but keeping the hands above the head. Lowering the spine to the pelvis. Once the pelvis touches the floor, bringing the belt back towards the thighs. One smooth movement. We're going to repeat this a few more times, okay? So into the bridge pose, lifting the pelvis, continuing the movement up and over with the arms, smooth movement. And lowering the pelvis down, keeping the arms above the head. And then slowly, smoothly bringing the belt back. Do this 2 more times. Okay. Pressing up into the bridge, continue the movement back with the arms. And lowering your trunk down bit by bits. And really grounding the spine. So that's what will emphasize opening the shoulders, is bringing the spine all the way down clearly to the floor. Bringing the arms down. One last time. Into the bridge on the in-breath. Exhale on the next in-breath, take the arms over. And then taking your hands whilst you're there now, a little bit wider. So do keep the traction going between the hands. And we're going to see if we can just tuck the shoulder blades underneath a little bit more. So we're gathering the shoulder blades in towards the spine. Okay. Keep the shape in the neck, so a space under the neck. Come up as high as you can into the bridge. And then we're going to lower down from the upper spine, lower spine, to the pelvis. Let's see again. Okay, bringing the belt down towards the thighs. Now we're going to take the hands, we're going to close the space considerably. So you're going to come inside the width of your shoulders. Okay, but you've still got the belt between the hands. And then what you're going to do is, so it's very, very close. Just imagine you've got a fist's width between the hands. Okay, between the hands. So you're going to, this time, push up the belt to the sky. Keep your elbows bent. And then you're going to lift up into the bridge. Again, coming up about halfway into the bridge. And on the out breath, you're going to both press your spine to the floor and come all the way down. At the same time, you lengthen your arms up, keeping the tension in the belt. Yeah. Say that again. So soften your elbows and press up into the half bridge. So your elbows are bent. Keep the traction between the hands with the belt. And as you lower the spine down, bit by bit, you at the same time lengthen the hands up. Straighten the arms. Okay. So it's a little bit of a coordination practice. It's not sort of a bit counterintuitive in some ways. So next time, again, lowering the spine down to the floor, extending the arms up. Let's do this 2 more times. Soften the elbows, wide, bend them, lifting the pelvis, and then lowering the pelvis, lowering the spine, extending the arms up. Just do that 1 more time. Okay, good. All right then, so we're going to roll round now. So we're going to make our transition into sitting again. Still with the belt, okay? So you're going to come back into Sukhasana or Virasana or whatever position you want to sit in. Something less, a bit more familiar. So make sure you've got space behind you to extend your arms up, out and back. So with your belt on your lap, just take your hands together and take the belt so that you've got no space between the hands to start with. And so what you're going to do is, on the in-breath, you're going to draw the hands above you, one smooth movement, and maintaining, so what's important here is to maintain the traction, so the gentle pulling away of the hands. So you engage the outsides of the shoulders on the in-breath, one smooth movement all the way up. And then keep the traction as you come down. I'm going to take the hands a bit wider. So let's say as wide as our shoulders. Same thing again, float the arms up, keep the traction between the hands, spine long. And down. So progressively each time getting a little bit wider in the movement with the hands. All the way up. You really feel the engagement if you keep the traction into the shoulder joint, especially the outer and underside of the shoulder. A bit wider still. Rooting through the base of the pelvis, dropping down and extending up. So it's like you're opening the upper body to the sky. Down. Now we're going to go a bit wider still. And this time we're going to transition all the way up and possibly all the way back. So you might need to go a bit wider still. Be very conscious of that sense of stretching through the shoulders as you come back. Try not to lose that too much by pushing the chest out. So keep the chest quiet in the body. And you come back up all the way around. And then bringing the hands together, then we're going to slide the hands up as we come up. As wide as we need to go to be able to bring the hands all the way back. All the way back. Okay. Inhale, bringing the right hand above the right shoulder. And the left arm is going to come back as far as we can take it and in towards the middle. So you're bringing the arm back and towards the center, all without twisting the spine. Okay. So just be very conscious here of what happens to the spinal column. Almost by default, what we tend to want to do is bring the heart forwards. So just keep the heart quiet in the body. Just focus on the movement of the shoulders. Extending, opening as much as you can. Keep the breath moving through the pose. Keep the sense of the pelvis and the ground beneath you. So the back hand goes back, 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 and in towards the midline. Okay, bringing the back hand in. I'm going to swap over without losing too much of the tension in the belt. Come over. Left hand floats up, right hand draws back, and then in towards the midline slightly. So the intention is to keep the back arm moving in towards the midline, back. Be careful not to, cut the belt, make the belt cut with fingers or anything. Keep the head up, keep the gaze towards the horizon, even just slightly beyond the horizon. So you're lengthening through the front of the body. Also, you sort of diametrically from one corner to the other. Feels like you're stretching through the front of the body. So just once again, swapping over. Floating the right arm up, extending the left arm back, back as far as you can go, and then inwards to the midline. One last time, swapping over to the other side of you. Back, extending up into the midline. Keeping the gaze up to the horizon. So the neck and the face, the root of the tongue resting. Bringing this up and then down. And I'm going to take a pause there for a moment because that's been quite intense. Just resting the hands on the thighs. Yeah, so we're just going to float the arms out and then bring the fingertips towards the tops of the shoulders. And we're going to make circles, just simple circles, small circles that gradually get bigger, wider. Until you've reached your full range of motion in that position. Until you've gone as far around as you can. Once you've explored that a few times, then you'll change direction, just keeping the circles very wide, very open. So being mindful of the movements, being mindful of how the different movements produce a whole new sense of sensations. Less intense, more intense. Okay. So I'm just going to leave the belt for now to one side. It's going to come now onto all fours. I'll go this way around. Sorry about that. Taps the microphone. So we're coming onto all fours. Just establish the normal four pose. Hands slightly forwards of the shoulders. Your feet the same distance apart as your hips. And so the emphasis here is on extending the leg back and the arm, but we're more interested in what the arm's doing in a way. So if you just think about the spine, what the spine will tend to do is drop down a little. And normally that's okay. But I want you to emphasize this time, keeping the belly drawn in and keeping the spine a bit more neutral, not so much inflection or extension, but just neutral, okay? So when you inhale, you're going to extend back one arm, one leg, doesn't matter which way you start, reaching out and down. On the opposite side. So we use this quite a lot because it's a really good postural balancer. So these sorts of movements, when you're working against gravity, work the postural muscles bilaterally. So it gives you a good sense of balance through the body. Yeah? Inhaling, reaching back, reaching out. And reaching out. So you can afford to be fairly fluid, so engage your strength, but at the same time be fairly fluid in the movement. Don't hold the pose too much. Okay, next time you extend out one leg, whichever leg it is on the arm, you're going to extend out and as it were, as if to reach back and catch it, you're going to lift the foot and lift the hand and just hold that position 5 breaths. Keep the belly drawn in, elbow drawing in towards the midline. So if the elbow is going out to the side like that, emphasize bringing the elbow in and lifting the arm up as high as you can and reaching back. Quite demanding. Huh? Reach out and bring the hand down and the leg down. So I'd like you to try that on the other side. So extend out without letting the elbow go out to the side. Keep the elbow in. Reach up, reach back. Keeping the neck long, looking to the floor. And release. Okay. Coming to child pose for a moment, keeping the arms extended forwards, lengthening the back out. Come forwards again. And I'd like you to see if you can tuck your tailbone under a bit more into this more active balasana stretch that we do. Tucking the tailbone under, coming back. One more time. So you're coming back smoothly, belly drawing in, tucking the tailbone under. Sitting back, okay, coming forwards, this time tucking your toes under, going to lift your pelvis, grounding the hands, grounding the feet. And then you're going to bring your right knee forwards onto the floor and keep your left leg long. Turn your foot onto the inside edge and bring your right hand just slightly forwards of your shoulder. So it's not right underneath the shoulder, it's just off center, so you've got a bit of an angle. Okay. And then just look down along your trunk. Most of us in this position can hold it without any problems. There shouldn't be any balance issues, but if you find yourself a bit unstable, this foot that's on the floor here, you can take it back like that. Just gives you a little bit more of a stable base. Yeah? And then just emphasize the awareness from the back foot. Okay, so think of the energy coming from the back foot all the way through the trunk on the ground, all the way to the crown of the head. And then I want you to just bend your elbow and feel the weight through the shoulder by bending your elbow and pressing up a few times. So you see that you're actually carrying weight through the upper body there, even though it seems like you're not doing much. The weight is there. Yeah? It's just halfway down a few times. Then press up and extend the arm. And then rotate the trunk more up to the sky. So as if you were trying to turn the heart upwards, then extend your arm above there. And broaden through the chest laterally as much as you can. So front shoulders moving away from each other, the sternum broadening. With your head, you can, to make that comfortable, do whatever you need to do. Looking forwards, looking up, looking down. Yeah, just becoming aware of the body and the breath in this static pose. It's like in every pose where you're staying and remaining, it's not exactly static in a way. There's always movement going on, small adjustments to be in the posture. Okay, bring the arm all the way down to the floor. Once the hand comes down on the floor, step your upper leg out in front of you. So you make more of a tripod base. And then from here, you're going to sweep the arm underneath, sort of move the arm underneath, keeping the right arm straight, the left arm comes underneath, and then we come all the way around, one breath, one movement. Slightly circling around ourselves, so slightly twisting into the pose at the end. And then under. Yeah. So I've got my left arm is supporting me and it's still straight. Inhale up to the way you come. Yes, we're rotating and moving dynamically. Coming up, coming round. And under. Let's do that again. rotating, coming up, coming around. Moving through, that's it. So it's more dynamic in that way. Coming out, coming around. One more time. The in-breath around and up, rotating the trunk. And bringing the hand down. Once the hand comes down, you're going to bring that leg that's out to the side back onto the mat. And then it'd be good if we could come back to downward facing dog again. Lifting the pelvis. And then we bring the opposite knee forward. So the left knee comes forwards. And we turn onto the inside edge of the right leg. Right leg goes back. Okay, just start off with your right hand on the right hip, perhaps. Okay, and then emphasize this thing again of pressing the foot to the floor, lengthening through the trunk, really getting a sense of the whole body lengthening. And then a few times you're going to bend the elbow halfway to sink your weight down into the floor and then press away from the floor, just using the strength of the arm and the shoulder. So just get a sense of the weight coming down to the arm and the shoulder, tricep muscle, pushing away from the floor. Yeah, then extend that arm and begin to rotate the trunk a bit more, and then extend the opposite arm right above the shoulder. Broadening and lengthening. Breathing in, breathing out, using the diaphragm to sustain the pose. So the breath always sustaining the posture. Okay, sweeping that arm down to the floor, and then bringing your right leg out to the side, so you create this more sort of tripod base. And then you start off by bringing the arm underneath you, so the right arm comes underneath and through, and on the in-breath, keeping the arm first of all bent, and then it straightens out. We rotate and circle around the spine, lifting up. And letting the arm go back. So as the arm goes back, also let the trunk rotate back to follow. And all the way through and under. Smooth movements, rotating around the axis. And under. Around the axis. So you're pushing away from the floor, so your attention is in the arm that's on the ground, as well as the rotation. And turning, yeah. Do this 2 more times from this position. And lifting and opening and rotating, grounding with the other arm. And down. Okay, very good. So once again, return to downward facing dog. And then we're going to kneel down or sit down. If you can sit in Virasana, that's ideal. If you need a block, use a block. But if you can't sit in Virasana, then just sit in Sukhasana or whatever's, or even with the legs stretched out in front of you is fine. So you might just want to prop up your pelvis a little bit. Okay, so making sure your base is comfortable and making sure that the spine is growing upwards towards the crown, lengthening up. So be aware of the spine and the position of the spine, keeping the chin tucked down slightly so the back of the neck is long. And you're going to reach the arms out to the side, okay? Palms of the hands come forwards. So they're looking forwards. And you're going to bring the right arm up and over the left arm. It's almost like a mudra coming in here with the arms. And then you're going to do what you can to join the palms together, or taking the fingers to the thumb, whichever seems to work best. So that might feel like it's enough, but if you want to refine from here, so just encourage you there to try elevating the elbows, bringing the elbows up. Usually there's quite a bit of space to do that in most shoulders, so you can usually lift the elbows, make sure the shoulder blades don't travel upwards, but rather they're depressing, so depressing downwards. Okay, really important that, otherwise you end up countering what you're trying to do. And then from there, see if you can, if it's possible, to broaden the base of the shoulder blades. So think about the two southern tips of the shoulder blades moving away from each other. So how do you do that? Well, you have to feel your way into it. Connect with the muscles there. And see if you can broaden the base of the shoulder blades as you lift up. And then just breathe into wherever feels tight or resistant, or even slightly uncomfortable. Just breathe into that area. Do the 6, 7, 8 breaths. Awareness of the spine, keep grounding. All right, and then after your 6, 7, 8 breaths, release. Broaden the arms out to the side, palms facing forwards again, so looking forwards. Do some little circles, perhaps, might help in between each side. So now we're going to cross over the other way, okay? So we come around, keeping the arms long all the way through. So I'm just doing the same thing, I think. It's the other way, isn't it? So left arm over the right. Okay. So trying to bring the backs of the forearms together as much as you can. So you're sort of gathering everything into the center midline of the body, energetically into the center midline. Okay, remember to keep the shoulder blades depressing. And then elevating the elbows, lifting the elbows, and then broadening the base of the shoulder blades if you've got space there to do that. Bring your full awareness into that area of the back, because it's sometimes really, really tight. It can be really uncomfortable for some people to do this. So be sensitive to how intensely you're working. Okay? We'll try to find the edge rather than diving over the edge. And releasing. And releasing. And all the way out. Making some circles again with the arms, well, the shoulders really. One way, then the other. Okay, very good. So, from here, we're going to come back to downward facing dog again. Downward facing dog. So I'd like you to, once you're up into downward dog, we're going to make a transition to standing, bringing the left heel in. The usual sort of 45 degrees is ideal. And then stepping the right foot forward. You can do that in small steps, or you can do it in one step, but try and have a fairly wide stance. Okay. With a fairly broad base. So think about your left foot going more towards the left side of the mat and your right foot going towards the right side of the mat. So you've got space in the tram lines there. Okay? Place your fingers on the floor under your shoulders. Press down into your front foot. Keep your spine long. And on an in-breath, we're going to come up, float up, standing. Okay. Lift up and draw the shoulders back. I'm going to bring the arms behind you. Interlace the fingers so that the palms of the hands are looking upwards. Okay. And then draw the hands down. So there's a little sequence here that's usually quite sort of logical and intuitive. Now roll the shoulders back, draw the arms down. open the chest. Looking forwards to the horizon. So you've got the chin slightly lifted above the horizon. Even looking up to the sky a little bit. And then as you come forwards, you're going to take the arms further and further away from the back of the body. So you're lifting the hands up, lengthening the spine. So this is a really intense pose. Just to encourage you to explore it to the extent you want to explore it, okay? So it brings in all of the body, grounding through the feet, especially the front, the back leg, pressing the floor away, lengthening the front of the body, and then seeing if you can raise the hands higher and higher. You might not be able to draw the trunk down very far. Keep the breath moving through the pose. Okay, pressing through the front foot, inhale, up you come, all the way up. All the way up. Okay, interlocking, releasing the interlock, take the hands above you, interlock the fingers above you. So you've got the palms of the hands facing down towards the top of the head, okay? And then you might need to make your stance a little bit wider. From there, we're going to explore the warrior using the warrior as a base. So we're going to bend the front knee, rounding the back leg, and then we're going to rotate the palms upwards. So we turn the palms upwards and we lengthen up with the arms. And we draw the arms back in the shoulders. So yes, your spine will move into extension, that's fine, as long as you're not feeling too much pinching in the lumbar spine, okay? So reaching up and lowering the pelvis down. So you're sinking through the base of the pelvis, lengthening, broadening, lifting the thumbs upwards, elbows in. And you might want to look up. You might want to look to the horizon, or you might want to look up. It's up to you. And release the arms down by your side, okay? And then you're going to take your hands all the way down to the floor. Step your front foot back. And then we're going to bring the right foot in and step the left foot back. So we're changing to the other side, okay? So it's probably better to have a stance that's like 3/4 of the length of what you can actually do. So you want your left foot going out to the left side, right foot going out towards the right side. So you've got a wide base, lateral base, fingertips on the floor, beneath the shoulders, long spine, pressing through the front foot, up you come. It's already too long in the base, I felt that straight away. So you're going to take the arms forwards, out and round, interlocking the fingers again. Yeah. Inhaling, looking upwards, beyond the horizon, chin lifting, shoulders back. And then on your next in-breath, lifting, and on your next out-breath, beginning to extend forwards. Smooth movement, lifting the arms away from the back of the body. Rounding the feet. And if you feel you want to, you can lower the body down towards, if you want a bit more of a challenge in the pose, lowering the body down. You can soften the front knee, of course, but not the back knee. Keep the back knee strong, back knee locked. Really grounding the back leg. Okay, softening your front knee, press down, come all the way back up. Releasing the hands above you, interlocking the fingers above you. Okay. So you might need to adjust your stance, you might not. See how it goes. And we're going to come back to the warrior with the front knee bent, extending into the back leg, and then we turn the palms upwards to the sky and press the thumb upwards to the sky. Okay? So you've got all the components of the warrior pose in place, minus what's going on with the hands. You're lifting, drawing back the shoulders, drawing back the arms. And exhale, take the hands all the way down. So we float down to the floor, hands down beneath the shoulders. We're going to step our front foot back. And we're going to come into child pose. So any version, any variation of child pose you want, just bring yourself in, let go of the effort for 15 breaths. The breath normalize itself. Just releasing all the muscles as much as you're able to. And now sliding your hands forwards, keeping them the same width of your shoulders, more or less. Okay, we're going to bring your arms forwards. And then we're going to come up onto all fours. And we're going to extend back one leg and then the other leg. And then we might or we might not come into the full plank. Okay, so we're going to support our body in the plank position. If you want to keep your knees down on the floor, if that feels too much, that's also, it's absolutely fine. Otherwise, we're going to bring one leg back, really extending into the heel. Take the weight through the arms and the feet and the legs. So the thing to watch for this is that we don't just collapse in the lumbar. So you want to keep the belly muscles engaged, drawing the pelvis in, and then lower the pelvis so that you become this long postural extension through the whole body. Yeah, reaching from the crown of the head, reaching back through the heels. But you're definitely engaging the midsection of the body. Okay, without that, you'll just end up compressing the lumbar spine. So just be really careful with this. Looking to the ground, looking forward slightly if you like. And lengthening. Okay, bring your knees down, come back to child pose again. This time taking the elbows down on the, the forearms down on the floor. Bring your hands in a little. Elbows as wide as your shoulders. Put your weight down through your forearms. And then you're going to lift your pelvis. And we're going to come into the dolphin pose. Okay, so forearms down, hands grounding, lifting the pelvis. So we won't do this thing of moving backwards and forwards, which you can do. We're just going to focus on lengthening out of the ground instead. So pressing away from the floor, pressing away from the floor, lifting the pelvis, long spine. Keeping the neck long as well. So as the pelvis lifts, the crown of the head sinks down.
All right. Bringing your knees down to the floor. Coming back to child pose once again. Okay, from child pose, touching the head down on the floor just for a moment, looking forwards, I'd like you to come through. So the 8-point pose, keeping the elbows close into the side of the body, all the way through to Bhujangasana, keeping the shoulders back, exhaling, coming down to the floor. Okay. From there, we're going to press back again. So use the strength of the arms and the shoulders to press you back up, back through to Balasana. Okay. And we come forwards again, all the way down, all the way through to Bhujangasana from the 8-point pose. So that's the chest, the knees, chin, feet. Lifting the trunk, pressing down the hands, lifting the trunk, keeping the legs down, exhaling, tucking the chin in. And we come all the way back again to downward, downward facing dog. So lifting the pelvis. And we're going to see if we can stay in downward facing dog for a while, just refining. Again, emphasizing extending, pushing away from the floor. So in a way, you've got to give up your weight to the floor before you can push away from the floor, if you see what I mean. You're going to be able to yield and then extend out of that yielding. Okay, coming down onto the knees. And I'd like you to come around into a sitting position. So I think I'll give 2 variations, because I know, Sue, that sometimes a lot of folding of the legs can be a bit aggravating for your hips, right? So it's fine to have your legs extended straight out in front of you for this. It may be premature, you want to come to the box pose. Okay? So we'll do a similar thing with the shoulders and the upper back, but we're going to work from different leg positions depending upon what you want to do. So if you're doing this box pose, you've got the right leg in front, left leg behind. So just really clarifying the length of the spine, growing the spine upwards. So the ribs down here are gently moving away from the pelvis, but this is coming more from the back of the body. Okay? It's the back of the body lengthening, crown of the head growing upwards, pelvis dropping down. Okay, so regardless of the leg position, we're going to take the hands. So think about that spine staying along. We're going to bring the hands behind the shoulders, fingers facing forwards, not backwards. Okay, so fingers are facing towards you, front. You're going to lean all your weight back onto the shoulders. And without lifting the pelvis, you're going to arch the spine. So especially the upper back. So we're more interested here to lift the upper back away from the floor. Lift the heart center. And don't worry too much about the head. Don't think about throwing the head back for this version. Just keep the gaze forwards. And if you can move your hands a bit further back still, if you notice that you've got enough room in your shoulders to really extend your hands back, that's even better. As long as you can get your heels down of the hands, okay? And then press away from the floor, work on lengthening through the front of the spine, lifting the heart. So it's obvious that you're going to feel a stretch in front of the shoulders, right? The more you take the hands back, the more you feel the ligaments and structures of the shoulder stretching. So that's part of the reason we're doing this. Keep on lifting the heart center, gazing out to the horizon, maybe breathing through the body. Okay. Just forwards. And release for a moment. Keep the length in the spine, interlock the fingers. And next in breath, one smooth movement. Bringing the hands above, elbows in gently, depressing the shoulders, drawing up. Spine is neutral, heart center resting into the body. And then releasing the arms down and back. We're going to do that one more time with the fingers facing forwards. So if you have your legs that way around, you just change your legs the other way around. Okay. We're going to take the hands and the trunk back a bit further, just a little bit further. So we'll lean the body back and walk the hands back a bit more. This time you might want to keep the elbows bent a little bit rather than locked. So just try this. Okay. So you're going to lift up, first of all, the pelvis rolling forwards, then the belly, then focus more on the upper back, lifting the upper back away from the floor. So the sternum lifting up to the sky. So you might feel a bit of intention or engagement in the biceps when you've got the elbows slightly bent. So you can try straightening the arms or keeping the elbows bent. And then lifting the shoulders away from the tops of the arms. It's pretty intense for a simple movement. It brings quite a lot of intensity into the shoulders, a bit of discomfort even. So if you can maintain that for a while. Okay, and forwards. And forwards. So again, just make some circles with the arms before we carry on. Okay, interlocking the fingers, extending the forwards. You can feel that on the inner arms and all the way through to the roots of the elbows. Elbows pressing in, shoulders depressing, lifting from the pelvis. And releasing. Okay, so for the next thing, I'd like us to have a wall space, a bit of wall. Now, we've no doubt done this lots before. You're not going to do anything complicated here. You just need the wall. And you're going to take your hands up to, so if you're standing, just bring your hands onto the wall in front of the shoulders with the fingertips level with the tops of your shoulders and the elbows in. And we're going to walk back. Okay. So I'm doing all that. I'm saying all that now because I'm going to do it as well. And I'm not going to be able to do it and talk into the microphone. So bring yourself to the wall. I'll just talk to you there first. And place your hands onto the wall with your fingertips at the same height as the shoulders, the tops of your shoulders. Okay, and think about your elbows keeping in line with your shoulders as you then walk your feet back. So you come into an L shape. And then the work is to not sink the trunk down, but keep the trunk lifting. And extend away from the wall, through the shoulders. Yep. Really bring awareness around the tops of the shoulders, where the shoulders meet the upper back as well, and across the neck, across the trapezius.
Okay, and we'll come back to the mat. Can't see where you've gone. I know you're there. And we'll come back to the mats. We'll do a couple of things now just to finish off, okay? So, yes, we have focused very specifically around the shoulders and the upper back this evening. But we've incorporated other parts of the body as well in the practice, so it's not been exclusive with the shoulders. So we're going to practice the quarter dog from here. Okay, so bringing the right arm all the way through. Right shoulder down, left side of the head down. Yeah. Grounding the feet and the knees, making sure your knees are not too far away from the shoulders. Okay. And then, I prefer to do it with the arms supporting on the floor, so the left arm supporting the body, and I can press away from the floor and twist a little bit more. You can also take that left arm above the head if you want. Some people like to do that version. Seems to activate more the left shoulder for them as well. So either bringing the arm straight above the left shoulder, straight out, or bent elbow supporting you on the floor. Yeah. So breathing, coming back to the breath, bring the breath into the front of your experience of awareness. And in this pose, you can also just start to let go of the effort a bit more. So rather than thinking of, full extension, full twist, just back off a bit, come down to a level of about 60% of your effort. And just focus on the breath, focus on the bodily experience, so the whole field of bodily experience. And then backing off even more and coming down to another level. Quietness in the pose, coming down to about 50% of your effort. All right. Okay, we're going to swap to the other side. Just to take it easy coming out of this pose. Just start off with, say, 5 breaths working quite actively to rotate and extend. And then gradually start backing off after 5 breaths, just backing off the effort. Focusing on the breath. Smoothly releasing yourself from the pose and come around to a sitting position. One last time, I'm going to bring the arms out to the side, onto the shoulders. I'm just going to finish off with this movement we started with. Circling the arms. And changing the other way. So I think we'll take some shavasana for a while. So why don't you set yourself up for that? I'll guide it lightly. Oh, yeah. Good. So I'm going to start by focusing on letting go of the head, the weight of the head, and everything associated with the head, all the sense doors, the eyes, the nose, the ears, the mouth, the tongue. It's sinking in towards the floor, in towards the head, in towards the floor. There's a conscious and deliberate disengagement, withdrawal, letting go of the effort. You've made the effort in the practice. It's now time to just, in a way, be more receptive to the experiences of the practice left over. And now the area of your shoulders and your chest and the upper spine, where we've really worked very actively. I'd like you to do what you can to release the shoulders, soften the upper back and the neck. So get a sense of the arms. The arms is floating away from the shoulders. The chest sinking towards the back of the body. The sternum. Collarbones become broad. So we sort of spread the shoulders out laterally from one side to the other. And then we let go of the arms as well, all the way down to the wrists, to the hands, to the fingertips. Letting go of the joints, soft tissues, skin, resting. And then the belly, surface of the belly and the chest, the skin softening. And beneath that, the soft tissues releasing. Imagine the muscles, the stomach muscles, the tendons. And everything behind the muscles, all the organs of the torso, rest into the floor. So try and get a sense of space, the space between the moments of your thoughts, space within the body. Resting through the pelvis, all the pelvic muscles, all the pelvic organs, all the way back to the sacrum and the sacroiliac joints, spreading out on the floor broadly. And then the legs, so the big muscles on the legs soften, even rolling away from the bone onto the floor. And the buttocks as well. And you release the knees, so no effort in the knees. Calf muscles releasing down to the ankles, into the feet, into the soles of the feet, everything spreading, floating. Right down to the toes, through the joints of the toes. And now your breath becomes more and more internal, quieter. The body just breathing as it needs to breathe. So gradually you're letting go of a sense of everything that's going on around you, more internalized, just aware of the inner body and the breath. Just aware of the body in space, resting here. And just see if you can prolong that experience, resting more and more into that experience. So feel free to just carry on practicing like that. Feel free to begin to wind the practice up now, if you like. I shall leave you there. Thank you very much to both of you. Hope that's been useful. We'll see you next time.